2 minutes until showtime.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into our Gamer Tuesday show here at Computer America. We have a last-moment change, but it's really all good. We're going to be joined by Cory Galliher, who is an associate editor with PopZara Press. He is a consummate gamer. He's an associate editor. Actually, he's an associate editor with PopZara, and Nathan Evans recommends him highly. Actually, we talked to Cory when we were out at the CES this past year, or the beginning of this year, and it's going to be a fun show with him. We're going to be all over the road, but it's all about games, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So if you're into gaming, this certainly is the show for you. So sit back, relax, as we bring you 2 hours of Computer America. I want to play, hey Ben, tell me if you can tell me what this song is. Do you recognize this?
Star Wars?
No.
1 minute until showtime.
Seriously, Star Wars is always coming to mind.
It's just a brief intro. It's the introduction to the Marvel movies. That was from Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So when the little things go flipping by, they play that music in the background. Cory didn't know it either.
I said Star Wars.
See? Same as me.
Yeah, Star Wars in the brain.
It's the whole orchestra feel to it. It's just Star Wars.
All right, we got 20 seconds. Ten seconds.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into another edition of the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And it's Gamer Tuesday! Yes, the Gamer Tuesday is upon us once again. And this is just a really fun show, and we're going to have a great program. Now, normally Josh Boykin, who is our gamer correspondent, is here with us, but he got called away at the last minute, so we're going to be momentarily joined by Cory Galliher, who is an associate editor with PopZara. I'll say it's all in the family, and he is also a consummate gamer, and it's all about games, and computer games, and more games, and console games. I mean, this is the place for you to be. If you have a comment or a question for anything that we're talking about today, give us a call at 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. I'll get you on and get you through. If you're radio shy, you don't want to go on the air, but you still want to get your question or comment, posed to our guests, whatever. Just go to any page at ComputerAmerica.com. That's all you have to do. And you'll see in the upper right-hand corner of every page that we have there, you'll see submit a question. There's a link there. Just click that link, and you'll go to our question submission page, and you can type in a question, click the submit button, and Ben and I will see it instantaneously. All right? We will see it, and we'll try to answer your question or comment on your comment or suggestion. It's just that simple. The other thing you can do is you can join our live video stream. That's right. We're a radio talk show, yes, but we also broadcast live video of Computer America. You can see myself. You can see Ben. Sometimes you can see our guest. You can't see Cory this time, but next time he's promised us he's going to get a webcam, so we'll be able to see him. But you can hear him clearly, of course. But Ben also has the amazing technology to display websites in the background, videos, movies, all the great things that makes things interesting, even more interesting. And we certainly invite you to do that and watch. Just go to the Show Lounge selection that's on every page at ComputerAmerica.com, which is the internet home of our radio broadcast, ComputerAmerica.com. Just click on the Show Lounge, and the video stream will begin automatically. You don't have to do a thing. All right, just sit back and then you can watch the show and listen to the show. So it just makes for a richer, more interactive experience. Again, but the easiest thing is call. It's at 347-884-8881. Also, when we have archives of the show, you can see that on our archives page, where you can hear us on Stitcher now, and SoundCloud now carry archives of the show. That's two newest editions, of course, Apple's iTunes. All the links that carry our program archives are there. We also have our own YouTube channel, so you can click on that link and you can watch and listen to archives of the Computer America show. So in case you miss something, hey, you don't have to miss it. You can always watch it again and again and again. Okay, so that's how that works. Ben, anything you want to mention before we bring Cory on the program?
You know, every day you list off the top 50 things that people should know about Computer America. So, no, not really. I think we're good to go.
Yeah, you say like that's a bad thing. That's what we want to do. We want to let them all know the details.
I mean, you'd think eventually people would, kind of either memorize it because you said it so many times, or write it down because you say it. Like, I don't know.
We have new people all the time. You have to do that.
I know. Oh, okay.
Okay. Anyhow, Cory Galliher is an associate editor with PopZara Press and spends his days working as a journalist and technical writer. But at night, he works as a crime-fighting detective. Or maybe he just plays a bunch of video games and messes around with a lot of tech while subjecting the world to his opinions on it all. He's been with PopZara since the early days of 2014. That was just last year. How heady can it get? And intends to stick around, despite what Nate Evans might threaten him with, meaning the nightmare might never, ever end. Cory, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
I'm so hot, I make a dragon want to retire, man.
That was one of the most ominous intros we've ever had on the show.
Well, we're going for a record here, I guess. Yeah. So why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about, I kind of gave you an introduction, but why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about you and what you do at PopZara?
I'm an associate editor with PopZara, which means I help out with our podcast, which is kind of like Computer America, but with much less attractive people. I also write a lot of game reviews. I do interviews. I mostly talk to indie developers, things like that. I review video games. I review tech. I interview people from both of those industries. Sometimes I even attend events like CES and E3. I do pretty much everything.
Yeah, and you were out at that when we were at the CES 2015. You were out there too. I know we had you sitting with some of our correspondents that were out there. Sandy Berger was out there. We had a bunch of people out there, and I know you joined us as well. It was a lot of fun.
That's right. I think that was at Showstoppers at CES.
Yes, Showstoppers at CES. We get invited out there every year. Showstoppers, of course, is like the premier press event. So all the people who are attending CES have a great way of reaching the press. Because it's not just about the 100,000 and so people that are out at CES, but they want to get to the media, and it's just another great way to reach the media. Mm-hmm. So now what we did is we had a list of topics that we're going to be talking about, and you saw them and you said, okay, that's great. You want to add a few more, which is fine. But which do you want to start off with? I'm going to leave this to you, Cory. Which topic would you like to begin with here? Because we're so.
You know what? We have a list here. I think we just go ahead and go down the list. That would start us off with the beta of Star Wars Battlefront, which actually ran this weekend.
What? Star Wars is coming out? I thought that was back in the 70s. Oh, there's
a video game based on Star Wars. It's like we live in the future.
Oh my God! Look at this. So now, is this the prequel? Is this the aftermath? I know what Star Wars has. I think the final.
Like you're asking, like where does it line up with the whole timeline?
Yeah, the final trilogy. I think everybody's kind of very, very old now, right? Princess Leia is aged. Han Solo is now as an old guy. I mean, what are we looking at here? Cory?
Well, basically, all of our characters are now in a space nursing home for space old people doing eating space prunes. No, so with the Star Wars Battlefront beta, as far as I can tell, the beta is pretty limited, but as far as I can tell, you have different segments, little slices from the various films. So, for instance, what we're seeing right now with Luke Skywalker running around is the Battle at Hoth.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, that took place when in the second
No, in episode 5, I think.
Right.
Oh, so it was in the second trilogy, which was really the prequel to
No.
No.
what?
No, the prequel was 1, 2, 3, and the main trilogy 4, 5, 6 came out back in the 70s. So this is events from the original movies.
4, 5, and 6. Okay, right, exactly.
Right.
But everything kind of got shuffled a little bit because Star Wars was intentionally. I mean, it was going to originally just be the first episode. If it
Yeah, I guess George Lucas was kind of ahead of his time, saying, "Hey, why start at 1? Why not start at 4 and confuse everyone for the next 3 decades?"
Well, yeah. I saw the original Star Wars in a movie theater. Yes, I'm dating myself, but I did see in the movie theater, and I mean, I remember the lines going around the block several times for each episode. It was just mind-boggling to see that happen. But anyhow. When you saw the original one, when you went to the movie theater, it didn't say Episode 4. It just said Star Wars. That was it. When the little when the little text goes scrolling up, and he added all that stuff later on when he decided to make it 3 trilogies. So and making it very confusing.
Good to know.
Yeah. So Cory, you don't have to keep yourself muted. You can just keep yourself on. Only mute yourself through the breaks. So chime in here.
So Battlefront, we're of course watching some gameplay trailer as as we're talking about it, but this is just one of the modes, and I guess we should start with not necessarily what Battlefields is, but why is this so important? Because the beta actually just wrapped up today. So I guess what was the beta all about?
Well, the beta gave us a chance for the first time to really experience what this game is going to be like. And, what the game is going to be like, if you've played a shooter that's like Battlefield, for instance, the very popular Battlefield series, Star Wars Battlefront basically takes that kind of gameplay, puts it in this Star Wars setting, makes it look and feel like the films. If you're looking at this gameplay right now, it's running on Ben's screen. It's like, even the explosions. You have these sparkly explosions from the original films. It's gorgeous.
Right.
It just makes it all fit together in such a way that you really feel like you're playing one of these fight scenes from the movies, which is it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, we're watching the video now.
Yeah, I guess that's going to be one of the major attractions of this whole thing because, well, first of all, did you get a chance to play it? Because they had a closed beta for like 2 or 3 days, and then they actually opened up for anyone who went out there, download Origin, got the game, and anyone can go play it. So did you actually get to get your hands on it?
I played quite a bit actually. I believe the maximum level you could reach with your account while playing was 5, and I believe I got to level 3, so I got a pretty good amount of time in with it. Gameplay itself reminds me again very strongly. Reminds me very strongly of games like Battlefield, where a very low health kind of game, kind of a realistic reaction to being shot. If you can take maybe 2 or 3 bullets before you die. Very tense game, very fast paced. Really gets you into the feel of being a stormtrooper where you die all the time and miss a whole lot.
Yeah, right. That was one thing that got me because I know it's just the beta, so obviously they only released I think it was like 2 maps. There was like a little bit of the story that you could play on. It very, very limited to what you actually got to play, but of course it's beta. You kind of expect that.
Right.
But I mean, I really hope that they flesh out the weapons and everything because they just kind of gave you like the assault blaster. They gave you like 4 weapons, and all of them I missed 90% of my shots. I felt like a real stormtrooper that I could not hit anything. It was bad on my part.
Right. Well, it's good to hear it wasn't just me. Don't get me wrong, I had a really good time playing the beta, but there are certain things that I would want to look at, one of those being the diversity of weapons, as you mentioned, is not great. You do have to level up your account by playing some before you get access to different weaponry, different grenades you can throw, for instance. Other thing is that Battlefield and Battlefront are kind of known for the vehicles and such you can use. In this game, your vehicles are an item that you pick up from the ground, and it warps you into a speeder or a TIE fighter or whatever. Meaning that you're racing other players to get to these items, get in the vehicles. First off, second off, if you're not very good at flying, you're gonna crash, and it's all of your effort's gonna be wasted. But again, you can't really blame the game for this because this has been how it is forever. You have to kind of learn by doing.
Right.
And in a beta like this, where as you mentioned, the content's a little bit sparse right now, there's not a lot of chances to learn by doing.
Right. Yeah. I kind of made the mistake because they did give streamers like first grabs at at like the closed beta, the friends and family beta,
Mhm.
and I was sitting there watching really good people play for 2 or 3 days, and I'm like, okay, I want to get on this. I want to try this. I can do this. This isn't that hard. And I got in there, and I don't know if I just don't play first-person shooters on the computer. Like, I'm not sure how much experience you have with that, Corey. But
Mhm.
I mean, myself, I really haven't done it much. So when I started playing this, the controls weren't that intuitive. It was actually pretty hard for me, at least, to actually perform well.
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I take exception to this. I see you playing a lot of first-person shooters. You do extremely well.
On the Xbox.
On the Xbox? Okay. Oh, not on a computer?
Not on keyboard, mouse. For some reason, I just can't do it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Now, I mean, this is a low health shooter, which, as I said, means you die a lot. And what that means, especially on PC, is that what you've really got is a game that's all about 4 or 5 people on either side, and then a whole bunch of fodder. People who aren't very good at the game, who are mostly there to be shot by the people who are really good at the game. And you can definitely notice that here. Until you've got the hang of what you're doing, your job in the game is to be killed by other people. And again, that's really appropriate for the films. If you're a stormtrooper, you're not there to shoot Luke. You're there to get your head cut off by the lightsaber.
Right. All right. Yeah, that's fair. So the whole beta, I think it went pretty dang well. I really like the whole item pickup you were just talking about, where you pick up vehicles, you pick up different kind of power ups, you pick up different units. You even get to pick up, I guess, quote unquote pick up the ability to control either Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker, which were both very very fun yet hard to do. But it's kind of one of those things where if you're good, it's very very rewarding. If you're bad, it's a bad time. But still, the gameplay all in all felt rewarding after a while.
Right. Coming from this, my favorite Star Wars game on the PC was Jedi Academy, which, for those of you who hadn't played it, it's an excellent game about fighting each other with lightsabers for hours, and I had a great time with that. That's not really what you do here. It's more of a range combat focus with blasters, but the few times you manage to get one of these pickups and play as Darth Vader for a little while, it's fantastic. For a few minutes, you are the guy. You run around, you destroy everybody. Maybe somebody runs a speeder into you, but until that happens, you feel amazing. It's one of the best parts of the game as far as what I've played.
Right. Yeah, and of course this was just a beta. I really want to emphasize that because this was not finished gameplay. There were a lot of imbalancing issues that were being pointed out left and right.
Sure.
One of the biggest ones, and by the way, the map size, the 20 on 20 battles, I think that's awesome. That's a very very nice, 20 versus 20 ratio. Leads to some very very epic battles, but at the same time, you don't feel like you lose yourself. So I think they hit a good medium there, 20 versus 20, but like I never felt like I wasn't useless.
I don't get. What do you mean by 20 by 20? I don't get that.
Oh, 20 versus 20, as in 20 people on either the Rebel side or 20 people on the Imperial side.
Oh, so the one that you don't get overwhelmed is what you're saying?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, there have been other games out there that have done, 40 versus 40, 48 versus 48, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put 100 people on a single map, you kind of lose yourself. It's like you're just one of the 40 other people, and it's you really don't make that much of a difference. But here, I mean, if you know what you're doing and you get the right power ups, you make a huge impact on even on a 20 versus 20 map.
Cool.
Right. And this is the same kind of thing you'll see with games like Battlefield. For instance, Battlefield Hardline, the most recent iteration of that series. At first, yes, you're not great, you're small fry, you're there to get shot. But as you progress and as you get better, you start to make more and more of a difference in the overall flow of the match, which it's a real sense of growth that you get from this kind of game, and I think it's great.
Right. So the big question is, this, of course, is going to line up almost perfectly. I'm sure they planned it as such, obviously. This is going to line up almost perfectly with, of course, the launching of Star Wars Episode 7, which is coming out this Christmas. Is this just another game that's going to be riding off the hype, or do you believe this game is going to be able to stand up on its own and actually, if not create a community, just be worth purchasing?
I think that this holiday season we've got a whole lot of competition. I think we've got four big games that are really standing out. We've got this one, we've got Fallout 4, we've got Black Ops 3, and we've got Halo 5.
Right.
And what it might end up coming down to is, which of these has the community that's necessary to sustain like all these people coming from these four different games. Halo's great. Everybody loves Fallout, and sure, Black Ops is wonderful, but I don't know if any of those have the sheer massive community that Star Wars does. And I think that might be what really takes this one over the edge.
So you think that the people who are very interested in the Star Wars community are going to pick this up because it's, I mean, you saw the trailer, we all saw the trailer. It's Star Wars to a T. I mean, it's all your favorite characters, it's all your favorite scenarios. You get to play, in whatever you want to play in. I mean, it's Star Wars to the extreme.
Right, and it's a 1-2 punch too, because you've also got the new film coming out. So I think it's kind of the perfect storm for this particular game. I mean, there is not a better time to release this. Which, that's both a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because, it's a great time to release it. A lot of people are going to get it. A lot of people are going to play it. It's questionable, though, because, again, the movie is coming out. They have a lot of pressure to bring this game out. And as we've seen over the past couple of years, it's happened time and time and time again. You've got Destiny in the background right there, for instance. Pressure to bring a game out can result in a worse game.
But it's fine because they fixed it a year later with DLC and updated content.
Sure they did.
Well, you definitely don't want a half-finished game, although that seems to be the industry trend nowadays, is just get it out there and we'll fix it, in the next couple months. But it's, I think they got a lot of really good data from the beta. I hadn't looked at the numbers. I'm not even sure if they released the numbers, but I'm sure, thousands upon thousands of people have played it. They got a lot of good feedback on just, what was going to make this a success. And I reached level 4, so I was doing pretty well, and I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, I wasn't even going to think about picking it up, but the beta opened up, I picked it up, and it's Battlefield, just like you were talking about, but Star Wars. It's actually a lot of fun.
Hey, I have a question for both of you, and I want you to think about it before you blurt out the answer. Just my question is, are there enough people out there? I mean, you've got these 4 games vying for a limited amount of gamers. I mean, are there enough gamers out there to sustain these 4 large, huge environment games?
You take that one, Cory.
Sure. Just speaking for myself, as somebody who does a lot of gaming journalism and such, I play everything. Everything that crosses my path, I'll pick it up and give it a shot. Either I'll play it to review or I'll play it for fun. So I guarantee me playing all 4 of these games at some point. And I don't think I'm the only one. I think these are big, high-budget, popular games that are going to get a lot of attention. And I don't think it's going to come down to deciding, like, hey, do I want to play Battlefront or do I want to play Black Ops? Do I want to play Halo or do I want to play Fallout? I think people are going to play all of them. I think the really hardcore people out there are going to get them all. I also think you're looking at different focuses for some of these games. Fallout, of course, being the exception here, as that's primarily a single-player game.
Mm-hmm.
Battlefront, of course, primarily, if not entirely multiplayer. Black Ops has a campaign, but let's be honest, people buy that for the multiplayer as well. Halo, probably the best balance of multiplayer and single player that we've got. So there are different focuses for each one, and I could see somebody who really wanted a multiplayer experience maybe getting into a little bit of all of them because they play differently.
Right, from the different shows that we've seen and the different gameplay that we've seen, and I know we're going to talk about Fallout and Halo and the new Black Ops, later on in the show, but each one looks pretty good, and I think you're absolutely right. Where people aren't gonna, I think this holiday season they might, keyword might, be competing for the first purchase. Which one are you going to pick up first? Are you going to pick up Fallout because that's going to be a guaranteed, 200 to 300 gameplay hours, so that's going to be a great way to spend your money? Are you going to pick up Halo because you really like the storyline and you want to see why Master Chief is on the run? Are you going to pick up Call of Duty because, hey, let's face it, that has a huge community of multiplaying. That's a lot of fun. or are you going to pick up Star Wars because your little cousin wants it and it would make his day. So it's about which one would you pick up first. But I think you're right. I think over the next couple of months, most gamers out there, these are all very attractive purchases. Eventually, they're all going to get their turn. It's just which one are people going to pick up first.
Right.
All right. So there were also
and also to your are there enough gamers out there? Didn't we just have someone on that was like I think 1 billion people said that they've played a game in the last 30 days. So like 1 billion. Let's just say 1 billion gamers. I believe that was during our Intel show that we just did.
Yeah.
So 1 billion gamers. That's a large market. There's plenty of people to purchase this. I don't think any of these are going to flop. It's just which one are people going to pick up first is the key.
Okay, so basically they're sustainable, because it's not like when you go to a movie. You go to a movie and then when you're done with the movie, you're done with the movie. Then you might go to see a second movie. With these games, this is a lot more than a movie. I mean, it requires some multiple hours.
Yes, time.
Yeah, time. Yeah, exactly.
The other big thing too is with multiplayer focused games like Battlefront, real key is the longevity of the game. With something like Fallout, maybe people play it for a while and it starts to fall off and then nobody plays it anymore, but you can still load up the game and have basically the same experience that you would have always had. With something like Star Wars, if people stop playing the game and don't stick with it, you've got yourself a drastically less high-quality experience because there's nobody to play it with. And you end up kind of worrying these days about games like that because there's been kind of a saturation of them, and if people get spread too thin, you end up with no one game with a high concentration of people, and they all end up a little bit worse to play. One of the things I like about this lineup for the holiday season is the fact that 2 of these 3 multiplayer-heavy shooters have what looks to be very solid single-player campaigns as well, which means that at no point are you going to be buying something and not have something to play with them.
Right.
And of course, Star Wars being Star Wars, people are going to be playing Star Wars.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I was kind of mentioning, or I kind of felt that while I was playing the beta, is that it was the beta, made a lot of big news in the right circles, so there was a lot of people playing it, and it took you a couple seconds to find 40 other people to play with. That wasn't that big a deal. But when you take a game like that and you make it so multiplayer focused, that's one thing that's I think the game developers really can't design around. You can't really design around if there's going to be 200,000 people playing it or 4,000 people playing it. You can't really design around how big your community is going to be. So at the beta, when it took a couple seconds to find a full lobby, it felt really good. It felt great. There were people to play with. But I feel like if you play that game, you buy it, and I've no doubt in the first couple months it's going to be a hit. You're going to have lots of people. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's just the thing you mentioned, longevity. I hate to think that you purchase this game and it's great for the first couple months, but then a year and a half down the road, you pop it in again, and there's a very, very bare bones community. Like there's only a couple hundred people playing it, and that would take away from some of the value of having a game like that.
Sure. And the other thing, too, that it's only been revealed over the past day or so, if you buy Star Wars Battlefront, you buy it on day one, it's a $60 game. That's standard for modern gaming. That's fine. But it's also going to come with a season pass. A season pass, for those of you, I guess you're listening to Gaming Tuesday, you know what that is. You buy it, gives you access to all the upcoming downloadable content for the game, so like basically mini expansion packs, new maps, new weapons, etc., etc. The season pass for Battlefront, Star Wars, is going to be $50. That's only $10 less than the full game at launch. Which means that if you want the whole game, if you want to get everything, you're paying $110. And I think that for some people that's going to be a problem. And of course, if you have some people who have these new maps and weapons and some people who don't, obviously they can't play together. So you're running the risk of splitting up your community there for a game that really needs a strong community to last and to be worth buying and to be worth playing. I feel like on some level they might be shooting themselves in the foot asking for so much.
Right. Yeah, that was one of the problems that Destiny actually ran into just now. I was lucky enough to get into Destiny, a year late, and a lot of the bugs have been fixed, and I got into, the latest expansion that just came out, and it was all great, but I did notice that the user base, for those of you who didn't purchase the latest expansion, and I'm completely blocking. It's not House of Wolves. It was
Latest expansion is Taken King.
Taken King, that's it. For those of you who didn't purchase Taken King, I mean, you were kind of sequestered into your own little PvP matches. You couldn't deal with, really half of the game was locked off to you because you didn't purchase the latest expansion. I mean, so much of the content was taken away from you if you didn't upgrade, and I would hate to see something like that happen again. It's not good for the player base.
Let me ask you, would the fact that Star Wars has another element in the fact that, they released, well, I know they did that with Lord of the Rings. Every year they released the next sequel. I don't know if Star Wars is going to do every year the last trilogy. It might be every 2 years. I don't know how up. But do you think when they introduce the next of the last trilogy, that's another shot in the arm for the game?
That's really one of the interesting things about Star Wars, is that it's such... I mean, you have these games based on properties that are established. For instance, Call of Duty is a very established game series, and that's great. And they can afford to release another game every year, and that's fine. Likewise with Halo. If they release a new Halo game, that's big and sure, whatever. Star Wars is unique in that, as you mentioned, there's a film series, there's video games, there's different kinds of video games, there's novels, there's comics. It's a franchise. There's multiple aspects to it, and any release on any aspect of this franchise can in turn invigorate the others. For instance, say somebody picks up this new game, Battlefront. They really like it. The odds of that making them want to go see the film are great. Like, hey, I'm really into Star Wars lately, let's go see this movie, even though maybe earlier you would have been like, whatever.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Hey, listen, guys, we're at the bottom of the hour, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll continue on. It's our Gamer Tuesday. Cory Galliher is here with us. He is the associate producer with Pop's Era magazine, and we're going to continue on with him. It's all about games. 347-884-8881. Another News Tips Bulls review is coming up as well. We'll be right back with more Computer America.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
These days, the only things doing any drilling or screwing are in my tool chest. Oh, hi, it's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America, this time the Ryobi OnePlus right-angle drill. We can't tell you how many times we needed to drill a hole or work a fastener where no drill or driver could reach because there just wasn't enough room for it. We asked Ryobi to send their 18-volt OnePlus right-angle drill, and it solves everything. The head has an LED for seeing your work. The base has a magnet for holding screws and a clip for holding hex bits. With a massive battery at the base, it's an overall heavy rig, but well balanced for a near-bottom grasp point, which is where they place the variable speed trigger and the reversing switch. Bottom line, the Ryobi One Plus 18-volt right-angle drill fits a lot of beef into tight spaces. Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. We are doing our Gamer Tuesday. Oh, thank you, Marty Winston, by the way, for that News Tip Bulletin Review. We're here with Cory, and we are, I think, just about wrapping up about the whole Battlefront beta that was that just wrapped up today. So hopefully, over the last week you were able to play it. And yeah, it's not much else we can say about it other than the official release date is going to be November 17th. So keep an eye out for that. I personally liked it. I'm not going to give it a 0 through 5 or 2 thumbs up or anything like that. I really enjoyed the beta. I can't speak on because the game as a whole, you really can't comment on because we only saw a couple story missions and 2 maps and a lot of imbalances. So we'll wait for the full release for an actual review. But Cory, what'd you think about it?
I had a great time with it. The biggest thing for me, as far as the beta goes, and I think as far as the full release will go, the look and feel just nails Star Wars.
Yeah.
And this is something that you won't get from watching videos. You won't get it from looking at screenshots. When you're playing it yourself and seeing it in motion, it looks and feels like you're in the movies, and that's one. Well, it's like you're an extra in the movies, because of course you're a stormtrooper or a rebel fighter. You're not Luke most of the time, but the point stands. I mean, this looks and feels like you're playing one of the films, and I think that's wonderful.
And that's good. That's what they're looking for, the immersive experience.
Right.
Now, once the beta goes away, if it hasn't gone away, basically you're out. Then you can't. You have to wait for the actual version. They shut it down. You can't play it anymore.
Yeah, the beta closed today, actually.
So when it closes today, no more Star Wars until November. It was
right.
If you didn't get a chance to play it now, you've lost that opportunity. You just have to wait till the actual final version comes out. And you'll have to pay $60 to purchase the game.
Well, the beta was never meant to be, play it now so you don't have to buy it later. Right. No, it was supposed to be, hey, give it a try. Maybe you'll try it later.
It's a teaser. It's the game version of a trailer. It's a teaser.
Right. And I'm sure there was if they listen to their fan base, and I know some companies don't really do this, but when they do release an open beta, and they actually listen to their fan base and saying, okay, when you're fighting the Imperial Walkers, the one against the mountain is too easy to crash into when you're flying your speeder, and the Imperial are way overpowered compared to the Rebels. If they actually listen to the feedback, they got a lot of good data from doing this.
And they have enough time to incorporate that data into the final release.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how efficient the coders are to make that happen.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It all comes down to coding.
Well, is that really because gameplay doesn't technically have to be coding? You can just adjust power levels and stuff like that. But yeah.
It's variables. I'm sure they have different numbers that they plug in. Difficulty levels that are not visible to you, the game player, but the programmers know what we got to tweak this. We got to bump this number about by 20% or something. It's the fine tuning of the program. Okay, so Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront, coming out in November, and we're certainly looking forward to as one of the most anticipated games out there. Cory, you wanted to talk a little bit about Star Citizen because I understand that really
hilarious.
It's really something, all right.
Okay, tell us what it is and why you find this to be so really something.
Going from Star Wars to Star Citizen. Okay, so Star Citizen, to really understand what we're talking about here, we have to start by discussing what crowdfunding is. And again, if you are listening to this for the gaming aspect of it, maybe you're familiar with Kickstarter, maybe you're familiar with Indiegogo, but just as a baseline, the idea is that a game developer can go out there and they can ask for potential fans of their titles to offer or to pledge money directly that can be used to develop the game rather than being under the oversight of a publisher, which in theory allows for a little bit more creative control, maybe allows for them to take risks that they might not have been able to otherwise. Star Citizen is the brainchild of Chris Roberts, who originally made the Wing Commander series, which those of you who are out there have been playing games for a while would probably be familiar with.
Yeah.
He made Wing Commander, he made Freelancer, and now he's working on Star Citizen, which is a game that he's crowdfunding. At the moment, they're sitting on, I think, around $90 million of crowdfunded money.
Wow.
Meaning, like, this is coming directly from people who want to see this game get made. And last weekend, we saw CitizenCon, which is a convention for fans of Star Citizen. Now, here's the interesting thing. They have $90 million. Game has been in development for, I want to say 3 years now? Something like that.
Yeah.
We still don't really have a playable game in front of us. We have slices of a playable game. You can sort of fly a couple of the ships. You can kind of walk around and talk to people. But in terms of an actual completed playable game, unfortunately, we don't really have that right now. And it's been long enough that people are starting to question, like, are we ever going to see Star Citizen come out as a fully completed playable game at all?
I gotta be honest with you. I was just browsing through Twitch and I saw, you know, like Star Citizen. I really hadn't heard about it until, you know, like last week when they had their whole CitizenCon thing. Yeah, I'm sure I did. I just didn't remember. But I'm watching this thing and they're going through the countdown thing, and the countdown, by the way, was hilarious because you go there, it has this little loading screen. It's like, oh, it's going to start in 29 minutes and 43 seconds. And then you look back again, it's like, oh, it's going to start again in 48 hours and 3 minutes. Look back again, it's like, it's going to start in 5 minutes and 20 seconds. Like, it was just bouncing all over. No one really knew what was happening. So they finally get in there. I got to be honest with you, I turned it off after half an hour. Like, it just seemed like everyone patting each other on the back, and, you know, the creator was there. It's like, yeah, you know, we had one office with 8 guys, and then you know, right now we have, you know, 15 offices with 300 people, and check out this video we made for you people. But no game.
Right. Like, the overarching consensus amongst people who haven't paid for the creation of Star Citizen is that as it stands, Star Citizen isn't really looking great. There's been a lot of drama. We don't really have to go into it because it's long and complex and hilarious. Feel free to look into it on your own if you'd like. But what it boils down to is that there have been leaked documents, supposedly leaked documents, allegedly leaked emails, talking about how there's been mismanagement issues with the creation of Star Citizen, that a lot of this money is just going into a giant furnace, so to speak. People are leaving the company. They're going elsewhere. They're leaving horrible reviews on Glassdoor, which may or may not be real or not if you listen to one side or the other. And then we have CitizenCon last weekend where, as Ben said, if you look at what we actually saw in terms of the game existing, there's not a lot. The biggest thing they announced during the CitizenCon was for the cutscenes, like the in-game actors in the game, we played by a few, I guess, relatively well-known actors. Gillian Anderson's been signed on, Agent Scully. Gary Oldman is the headliner. Again,
Not bad.
90. What's sorry?
Not bad. Not, you know, not amazing, but not bad.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. But the question is, it's been 3 years. They're finally getting these people on to do this. You're stuck wondering how much of this $90 million is left, and how much longer can this go on for?
Right. Yeah. I you know, like I said earlier, I really haven't been following the drama part of this, but I was thinking that watching that, it was like, you know, you guys have so much invested into this. I'm not sure how much you crowdfunded, but you have a room full of people who are really, really excited to play the game. And I'm sure every one of these people has put in, you know, $40, $50, $60 just to see this whole thing happen. And at the same time, it's, you know, just not a lot. Like they had a lot of storyboarding, you know, and it's like, we want to be able to do this, we want to do this, we're going to do this, you know, check this out, we have this mapped out, but you really can't play it yet. Like, they had a lot of what we want to do, but they didn't have a lot of what you can do. And, you know, combine that with, as gamers, you kind of want to say, man, I wish that the writers, I wish that the creators, I wish that the creative side of the whole thing had complete control over what a video game is. But there's a reason that most of these really, really big AAA studios, they have business people, they have accountants. They're saying, hey guys, here's the deadline, you need to meet this, we need to do this on time. It's like, this company doesn't seem to have that. It just has a lot of creative people with not a lot of business people.
Right, right. And a big thing over the last generation or so of game consoles, so I would say since like 2013, 2012 or so, is this overarching idea that middle management, that managers in general, that suits, so to speak, are this thing that's not desirable, that we don't want business people infringing on our games or messing
Right.
with their creatives. And what we've been seeing with the rise of crowdfunding, don't get me wrong, there have been some success stories, FTL Faster Than Light, Pillars of Eternity, Double Fine Adventure, Broken Age. Those were all relatively good games, pretty solid games. But it seems like every week or so these days we've been seeing another story about a crowdfunded project that isn't going to deliver, or is going to take longer to deliver than it should, or that needs more money. And what that's been telling me, and I think a lot of other people, is that maybe it's not so bad if we have somebody like keeping the creatives focused, keeping them on a set path. Maybe being there to step in when they say, "Oh, we want 1,000 fully realized planets you can explore on foot," and saying, why don't we just keep it a space game?
Yeah, one thing that they did announce, which, and by the way, everything that they did announce here at Star Citizen was very, very impressive. Like they said, they were talking about map sizes and just the playable, like the physical playable area that you're going to be able to explore in this. And it's like, they were comparing it to Skyrim, they were comparing it to Fallout, they were comparing it to all these other open world RPG kind of deals. And those had areas of like 50,000 by 50,000, 100,000 square units, and then whatever units are or kilometers. That's what they're using. And this one supposedly is 1 million by 1 million square kilometers.
Right.
Compared to all these games, it's like that's ambitious as heck.
Yeah, absolutely. The other interesting thing about Star Citizen for me is if we look at crowdfunded games that want to do the same thing, to bring back this sort of do whatever you want space adventure kind of game, there's another game called Elite Dangerous that was also crowdfunded. Elite Dangerous exists. You can buy it right now. You can play it. It does exactly what they said it would do. They're adding more to it. It's reasonably priced. It's a very pretty game, wonderful graphics, really well made, never seen it crash. Again, though, let's get back to point one. It exists. You could play it right now. So we have Star Citizen trying to compete against a game that's doing exactly the same thing, but has already beaten it on every front by making something that you can actually play. And that's not all. We also have this upcoming game called No Man's Sky, which is a big one for the PlayStation 4. Essentially the same thing. You fly around in a generated universe, you explore planets, you conquer new worlds, you go where no man has gone before, etc., etc. And again, I think we're going to see that come out before Star Citizen does. I mean, if you listen to some of the most vocal detractors right now, the estimate that we're being given is that they're going to run out of money before Q2 2016. Which, I mean, when that happens, what happens to people who had all these dreams, these hopes invested in this game? Because you have to understand, like, for a lot of these people, this isn't an insignificant amount of money. If you look at Star Citizen's site right now, for instance, they want to sell you ships for a game that does not exist for upwards of $1,000. If this company goes bankrupt, what happens to your money?
You're gone.
You don't get a game, your money is gone. What happens then?
Right. Yeah, and
It could turn out to be Star Scam rather than Star Safe.
Right. Scam Citizen, yeah.
Ben, you want to go get that, and then we'll go. But yeah, I mean, it could certainly be something that is it's not going to be there, and you run the risk of that with all kinds of crowdfunding services, whether you're buying, a peanut butter maker or a game, Cory.
Yeah, that's true. I have coworkers who do a lot of things on Kickstarter, and it's interesting when I talk to them about this because it's night and day because they focus on tangible things like watches, belts, wallets. And from what I've heard from them, every time you back something like this, you are pretty much guaranteed to get what you paid for, or rather what you pledged for, get it within a reasonable amount of time, and get a pretty decent quality product. Basically exactly what Kickstarter and other crowdfunding sources say that they do. As a gamer, I mean, my experience has been the exact opposite, based on what I've seen. Of course, I don't tend to back these things myself,
Sure.
which is that you're basically tossing money at a promise or at a name, and there's no guarantee that you're going to get anything out of it.
And why is that acceptable? We would most people wouldn't do that, for other products. I mean, I'm not going to. I mean, I'm going to invest a very little amount of money. I'm very, very wary again to things like that. And what about crowdfunding? I mean, if you go through Indiegogo or Kickstarter, don't those websites guarantee that you're going to get your money back, or is that again you're based upon? I'm not sure exactly how they work because I've never really funded a Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Is there any kind of guarantee from those websites that you get your money back, or if they go bankrupt?
We've been seeing a little bit more of a push toward expecting accountability out of content creators on these sites. For instance, there was a recent case of a card game where the Supreme Court got involved. I believe it was the Supreme Court. They didn't deliver. The money had to go back to the backers. But I don't think that as it stands, Kickstarter really forces this level of accountability that you would expect. It's expected. It's in the terms that you'll be accountable for what you do. But we've seen projects just take the money and vanish. Like one of those, for instance, is Code Hero, which is it was originally going to be a game about learning how to code as part of a game. That got a fair amount of money and then completely vanished off the face of the earth. Money's gone, no game. And I think part of the reason for that is that with software and with ephemeral products like this, you can't hold in your hand, you can't touch, you can reach this level where you're like, I got more money than I thought I was going to get, so I'm just going to keep on adding features and going to expand my scope. And without people like managers to keep the scope to rein the scope in, this can happen indefinitely, which I think is what we're seeing with Star Citizen.
Yeah, I hope Star Citizen doesn't become the cautionary tale of all time, by getting, more money than I think a lot of other Kickstarters, have ever hoped they got. And hopefully it doesn't become the tale of, hey, what happens when you have, all the support in the world, but no one's saying, hey, put something out there, put a finished product out there.
Yeah, I mean, just for reference here, if you go to the Star Citizen store, some of the baseline packages, which would get you the game and a ship in the game, run you from, at the very lowest, $45 up to, on the very first page, there's a $5,000 package you can buy, $10,000. It's $15,000 right there below it. You could pay this much to receive pictures of spaceships in a game where you can't fly the spaceships that may never exist. It's mind-blowing to me. I think this kind of thing happens more in gaming because we've all been kind of indoctrinated to it thanks to the idea of pre-orders, which are huge. I mean, if you've ever bought a video game the last 10 years, walked into a game store to buy something, you've seen this happen. You go up, you'll buy your game, and they're like, oh, hey, do you want to pre-order whatever? Which essentially is, I'm going to put money down to get a game later. If you think about it, crowdfunding is essentially a similar concept. It's, I'm going to put money down to receive something later. In neither case do you really have a guarantee. And in neither case is it really that helpful for you. It's good for the people that you're funding, of course, but what are you really receiving? Not much.
But just a promise.
Yeah.
And it could be a broken promise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we also saw that a little bit with the Ouya, where I remember talking the Ouya up so much and how it was going to be finally a crowdsourced console killer that's made by the people for the people. Yay! And then people got the finished product in their hands, and don't get me wrong, they delivered exactly what they said they were going to, but they got in their hands and they're like, oh, that's right, I just pledged $99 and I got a piece of plastic. Oh yeah.
Right. And the interesting thing when it comes to the Ouya is that there are products now that exist that do what the Ouya said it was going to do. The one that springs to mind, because I own one, is the NVIDIA Shield TV, which is, of course, it's made by NVIDIA, which is a company with some serious financial backing. It has some amazing hardware for what amounts to a little Android chipset in a box. It can run all kinds of games beautifully. It can emulate all kinds of systems beautifully. It can run Netflix at 4K. It does essentially what you would have thought the Ouya would do. But what did it take to make that? It took an established company with some investors and some backing.
Yeah. So it's looking more and more like Kickstarter doesn't work.
I don't know if I would say it doesn't work, because again, there are games that have come out and that work really well. Again, the one that the Kickstarter poster child is FTL Faster Than Light, which is a very narrow scope space roguelike game that it's amazing. It's really well made. It's well written. It plays great, and it didn't take too much to make. It had a really limited scope, and they were able to focus and just make the best game they could make. Pillars of Eternity. Developers wanted to make a really solid RPG, and that's exactly what they did. Wasteland 2, same deal. Wanted to make a really good sequel to Wasteland. That's exactly what they did. I think maybe if you're trying to create more of a concept, maybe if it's not like I want to make a sequel to this game, but instead you're saying I want to make another space game. Maybe that's the problem because you've got a scope that's just wildly spiraling out of control at that point.
Well, okay. So just buyer beware and just be careful.
Right.
I think that's what we can pull away from this whole.
Well, that's always what Kickstarter has been, and we've talked about failed Kickstarters and things like that. But it's always buyer beware. But I think the platform in general, it's something that kind of rose very very quickly and is established now. So I'm glad that things like Kickstarter and Indiegogo exist, or GoFundMe. They're great ways to put money towards things that you really want and to show your support without having to just kind of see what is Treyarch putting out, what is Bungie putting out, what is insert big AAA company. You don't just have the options of them. You can pick really whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And to some degree, I think there's almost a sort of a loss of innocence aspect to it, too. Back in 2012, when the FATS first got started, thanks to Tim Schafer's Double Fine Adventure, back then it was easier to say, oh, my favorite developer would never take the money and take too long to make a game. He would never produce a game that wasn't great. It's the suits holding him down. And as the years gone on, we've had to accept, like, hey, these are human beings, too. And when money gets into the picture, you don't know what people are going to do.
Right. Yeah, it's I think it's we've kind of built up that it's the man, it's the suits, it's the people who pull the purse strings that are causing all this grief, and this game could have been so much better.
Yeah.
But I think they actually went to college and got degrees in something worthwhile.
Right.
And it wasn't how to rip people off.
No, it's how to keep a team focused and how to get a product to market. That's very important.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, your word of caution, Cory, now is anything having to do with Star Citizen is just be very Star Citizen careful.
It looks very, very cool. It looks very, very ambitious. Personally, I really do hope that this is everything they promised it would be, and they get it launched, because I know a lot of people, Star Fortress in particular, he's going to want this. Like, this is everything he's been dreaming about. But yeah, I mean, this kind of game, it has not really been created yet, so I hope they come to market with it.
He said, right. Star Fortress mentioned, he said he needs to look. We need to look at Rebel Galaxy instead. What was that?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I'm so familiar with that one.
Yeah, we haven't heard of that one.
But yes, as far as my advice for Star Citizen goes, I would say that if you haven't invested yet, maybe hold off.
Yeah, wait till something more concrete or more solid is.
No. They just need 20 million more, and they can bring this thing around. Invest now.
Exactly.
We assume.
Yeah, we assume. Well, coming up in the next hour, we're gonna focus once again, shift our focus to the most anticipated game of the holidays. What is it? Have we mentioned it? And there's some really large titles that we're going to be talking about. None of them, by the way, are these racing games, like Forza. I mean, some of them they look so realistic, Cory, that you would think they had a camera,
right,
at the racetrack, and we're doing it, but it's not. It's just the graphics are just phenomenal with these games.
Right.
Yeah, and
racing's very niche, but I mean, the people who really enjoy racing games, they are some very dedicated fans, but racing games aren't really big time sellers.
That's true.
Are racing games the fans of racing games are the people that go to NASCAR and all that stuff?
No.
No.
Maybe.
More like people who are crazy about cars, people who are interested in supercars. There's a certain hobby and it ties into racing games.
Okay. So if you're a Jay Leno kind of type or something, into a fancy car.
I've never seen him play video games. That's a good question.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Black Ops 3, some of the topics we're going to talk, and Fallout 4, some of the topics we're going to be talking about. Also, we're going to talk about games for Halloween. The scary games, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Of all your hand noises, that is by far the scariest.
uh, that's all coming up in the next hour, and Cory's going to be with us here. Cory Galliher, associate editor with Popzara Press. Now, I'm just going to take a moment here to mention it's Tuesday, but we have our contest coming up, and if you haven't participated in our contest before, we encourage you every Friday. We give away a really, really nice prize from our good friends over at Logitech. Just go to under the Interact pull-down menu and select the Social Media Contest selection, and there you'll see what we're giving away is the Logitech MX Anywhere 2 wireless mouse, valued at $80. We even have a link to it so you can see it. It's got that dark field technology. That allows you to use it on glass. You can switch up to 3 different devices and also use Bluetooth. It's just an amazing mouse. Again, valued at $80. Looks very, very cool. It's ambidextrous, works with left or right hand. And we'll give that away. Just go to our social media contest, and we have links like to Facebook and to YouTube and to Twitter and Pinterest. Just click on any one of them if you've not done it before. If you've already done this, you don't have to do it again. Just do it one time. And when you like our Facebook page, when you go there, you have one entry every single week from now on. If you go and subscribe to our YouTube feed for our videos, that's 2 entries now you'll have every single week. If you go to Twitter, you'll get 3 entries every single week. You just have to do it one time, and that's how that works. So we encourage you to do that. And then you get these it's great odds, we could be calling your name, Every Friday we give away that really terrific MX Anywhere 2 wireless mouse from Logitech. So head over to computeramerica.com, go to our social media contest page and read all the details so you can see the mouse. We have a link to the mouse right there on the page as well. And get your entry in. You just have to do it one time, and you're all set. All right, we're going to just take a quick momentary break, and then we're going to begin hour 2 of the Computer America show. Again, Cory Galliher is here with us from Popzara, and we're going to talk about the most anticipated games of the holiday and games for Halloween. That's all coming up. Another news tips bulletin review as well. You're listening to the Computer America show.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we continue on with Cory Galliher, who is an associate editor with Popzara, and he's filling in for Josh Boykin this month. But things are going extremely well. We'll probably put him into the rotation now of our Gamer correspondence.
Aww.
It is. Yes, you're doing a terrific job. And it is Gamer Tuesday. And in the first hour, we talked about Star Wars. The Battlefront beta is now officially closed as of today. We also talked about Star Citizen and the things going on with that game as well. But we're going to basically go into the new topics. Again, if you have a comment or question, give us a call at 347 884-8881, 347-884-8881. I'll get you on and get you through. We are in our new time slot, 3 to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday Eastern Time. And certainly enjoy having you participate with us here on the live show. So let's move into the most anticipated games of the holiday. What is that going to be?
Well, as we've talked about in the past hour, we've got 4 big ones. We've got Star Wars Battlefront, we've got Fallout 4, we've got Halo 5, and we've got Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Now, if we're going to be talking about the most anticipated game out of the 4 of those, that's going to be a difficult discussion. They hit different niches. They have different fans. They've all got their own giant fan bases. They're all going to do really well, guaranteed. So I don't know if we can talk about one specific game so much as here are 4 games. Why would you want each of them?
That's fair. That's fair. So, my money down, I would have to put the most ravenous fan base because they are so starving. They are nothing but skin and bones, and they've been waiting for so long, so patiently. Fallout 4 is finally dropping.
That's
Really?
pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, the cool thing about Fallout 4, it's blew my mind for the longest time, is, we knew that it was going to be a game set in Boston. We've known this for years. The interesting thing is that we knew so long ago, and Bethesda just dodged and dodged and avoided, and they wouldn't say it. They hit all their bowls of clam chowder, just hit anything related to Boston. We had no idea, apparently. And then as they just come out, say it, everybody's super excited. We got some gameplay trailers. We have information on what the game is going to be like. I'm excited for it, straight up. I realize that it's going to release in a horribly buggy state, because of course these games always are. I also realize that I'm going to really end up relying on mods and patches to fix it. That doesn't mean I'm not going to get on day one.
Yeah. By the way, just a quick sidestep here. Fortress answered is Rebel Galaxy. He says it's a great looking with the story, but there are only 2 people working on it. So that's probably what's going on.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah, indie games. I mean, I'm not saying that some of them can't be great. It's just they're really hit and miss, and sometimes when they're not just underfunded but understaffed, the game that they release with is just kind of what they have been able to put into it. So I'm not saying that Rebel Galaxy is going to be horrible or not. Just I did look it up, and it should be coming out in a week, so October 20th.
Now, what's the video?
Hmm?
What's the video we're watching now? This is
Fallout 4.
Oh, this is what? This is
Fallout 4.
Okay. Looks very interesting. So continue on, Cory.
So yeah, we're looking at Fallout 4 right now. It looks like a pretty solid game. The cool thing about these Fallout games is that instead of going all out with this crazy, ridiculous graphics, they're more stylized. As we can see here, the characters don't look photorealistic. They look more like cartoony. It's a really solid-looking graphical style that you don't need a top-of-the-line computer to run. It'll run on consoles. It'll run maybe not on your Walmart computer, but if you put a decent video card in there, you could probably play Fallout 4. It's a really accessible game. That's what they go for with these. Now, we're seeing a lot of new...
Are you saying that this guy looks cartoony? I mean, he looks real. I mean...
No. Well, it's
not photorealistic.
What's the term for it? Like I said, stylized. You wouldn't mistake this for a photograph. It still looks good, but it doesn't have to be the most realistic thing in the whole world.
Okay, got it. All right.
Yeah. As we can see here, we got a whole lot of new gameplay elements. We have this different form of dialogue tree. That's pretty fantastic. We've heard about the new system for perks, character development. There's a whole bunch of different perks. It plays out a little bit like Skyrim, where your character is defined based on the perks that you pick up. The setting is new. We've never seen Boston in this series before. I would talk about recognizably Bostonian things, but I've never been there, so I have no idea. Ask me about Fallout 3, maybe we can discuss that. That was set in DC, if you're not familiar with the series. We've got the dog here, which is a classic character from the series. I just think it's going to be a really fantastic game, and even if it's not the best game in the world when it first comes out, these games are really well known for their modding capabilities. If you get a copy of Skyrim, which is their other big game, Viking-themed fantasy, and you mod it, I mean, it can become anything you want. It's amazing.
Right. Yeah. The modding community really seems to like this, and it's always good to see that they don't, try too hard. I'm sure they have their digital rights management and everything, but they don't try too hard to deter, the obvious modding community. And these games do get better with, mod packs that include better graphics, mod packs and that include harder gameplay or just different gameplay. Just little things like that. That if the base game isn't exactly what you want it to be, give it a year, give it 6 months, give it however long, and eventually it's going to become something you had no idea it could have been. So.
Right, exactly. So this looks like a pretty fantastic game, but this is not the only one that's coming out. We've got Call of Duty Black Ops 3, which, for those of you who aren't familiar with the more recent games in the series, you've gone from a World War II setting with the original Call of Duty up to Modern Warfare, of course, thus the name Modern Warfare for some of the more recent games. And now we've got Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3, which are focused on near-future, futuristic things. You've got your exosuits, you've got your cybernetic powers, you've got your jumping 50 feet in the air over walls and things like that. This is a series that people for a long time were saying it all felt very samey. All you did was run around and shoot terrorists all day with your assault rifles and go America and all that. So what they've decided to do with these newer games is introduce this kind of futuristic aspect of it, add in this appeal for sci-fi fans as well as modern military shooter fans.
Yeah, I still don't know how I feel about that because I was one of the ones who actually liked Modern Warfare. Like that was the game that really brought me into it. I did play like, don't get me wrong, I am really really glad they stopped making World War II games because that got old after the 8th one. But Modern Warfare was good. And then I guess it was just the state of first-person shooters. It was between the Battlefields and between the Halos and between just what first-person shooters become. You had to have jetpacks. You had to have special power-ups and just things that just make no sense in a set in today, here and now, or even 10 years from now. It just doesn't make sense. So now these games, like most, if not all, first-person shooters kind of have to be set, 50 years in the future just to give people what they expect.
Right. One of the big reasons for that, I think, is the popularity of Titanfall, which is a game that was really set to be the new big thing in shooters. It's arguable as to whether or not it really did that, but it's difficult to argue that it was a bad game. It was an excellent game, had a great time with it, and they've taken some of the aspects from Titanfall, obviously not the giant mechs you should ride around in, but the greater degree of freedom. You're seeing that now with jumping over barriers, shooting things, moving around really fast, still killing people. The other thing that we're seeing here is the addition of a 4-player co-op mode, which is new to. It's a 4-player co-op campaign mode. Previously, the campaign modes were single player, I believe, maybe 2 people at best. What we're seeing now, and this is actually one of the big things they showed off during E3 when I saw this, was this 4-player co-op mode. Get 3 of your friends together, have a great time playing it. We can also see a difference in as far as the graphical fidelity goes from Fallout 4. This goes for definitely one of those more photorealistic styles, really push your PC to the limit if you're playing on a computer, really make that console scream if you're playing it on a PS4 or an Xbox One. Completely different sort of style here, but if you're really looking for something to show off your hardware, this is the direction that you go.
Right, yeah, and it, like the gameplay is good and all, but I heard something and I didn't really comprehend all of it. Maybe you heard a little about it. About the campaign, you can actually start anywhere you want within the campaign missions. Like you don't have to go, mission 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can actually start at the last one if you want. You can start in the middle if you want. They're just kind of giving you all the different chapters or stories or whichever, however they labeled them, and you can play it with all your friends. And you can start at the very last mission if you'd like. They're not trying to force you into a very linear progression.
Right. People will complain about Call of Duty, and they'll say, oh, they're all samey, and this is all certain dude bros ever play. And I think a lot of those people never really had a chance to sit down and enjoy this sort of campaign. I mean, I had a friend of mine who had never seen one of these games in action before, played through the first 2 levels of Call of Duty Ghost for him. His mind was blown. You're playing a Michael Bay action film. The production values are mind-blowing. It's just really solidly made. It's a great time all around. And if you're just like, oh, well, only dude bros play Call of Duty, you're kind of missing out.
I've never seen, or at least I've never experienced the stereotype of only dude bros play Call of Duty, but I did hear that, oh, that's just what 14-year-olds play when they're, during summer vacation, and it's full of kids, and it's just, just not a very mature game. But,
Right.
Looking at the gameplay and looking at it, it has a lot of really great elements that, hey, it's an action game. It's not trying to be, the next great story out there. It's just trying to be a very fun, very explosive game, and I think very few video games out there can do it better than Call of Duty. Yes, they release it every year, but every year, bigger explosions and the storyline is at least playable.
Right. They have the funding to throw at this kind of thing to make sure it works on some level. Even if you don't really appreciate the whole run around and shoot terrorists all day kind of thing, you do have to appreciate the amount of polish and the amount of skill that goes into making one of these. And I think that people who just pass them up because they might not necessarily like the series are really just missing out by having not played these games.
And of course, the biggest thing about all the Call of Duty lines, and indeed the counterpart, which is the Battlefield line. I keep wanting to say Battlefront. The Battlefield line is the multiplayer. Like the multiplayer of these things, they're always very exciting. It's just like you were talking about earlier with the low health shooters where you're gonna die a lot, but it's very very much skill based. It's when you meet someone who's very very good at it, you kind of just have to tip your hat and say, wow, they're really really good at it. So I think the multiplayer of this, I hope it's good. Hopefully they didn't add too many of these crazy power-ups and perks and things like that kind of detract from the, hey, this is a shooter, not some kind of weird gadget galore fest. But yeah, I hope the multiplayer stays intact because that was always one of my favorite parts.
I mean, I've played the multiplayer beta of this, and I hate to tell you, but there are quite a few power-ups. It incorporates, I mean, the biggest thing you'll notice when you're playing it is it incorporates a lot of the parkour slash wall running slash whatever from Titanfall. It feels like you're playing the ground combat version of Titanfall, where you can get around the environment really easily. You can run on the walls, you can climb up buildings, you can jump 20 feet in the air. But instead of making the game feel like weird or not like it's Call of Duty, it just adds in another dimension of movement, which is what it really takes to make the game feel different. And I can appreciate that.
All right, yeah, that's hopefully that whole thing stays intact and doesn't get too crazy. But hey, even if it does get too crazy, Call of Duty has this nice little effect of, well, if it gets too crazy, you play it for a little bit, you put it down, you're like, we'll try again next year, and maybe the next year will be good.
Right. I mean, that's not all the games that are coming out though. So we've also got Halo 5. Speaking of shooters.
Yeah.
Now I have to admit, I'm not extremely familiar with the single-player mode or plotline of Halo 5. I have played again the multiplayer beta.
You made Ben go sigh for that.
Yeah, no, when I played the multiplayer beta, it was really good. It feels a little bit like a refined version of Halo 4's multiplayer, which I thought was really great. Ben, I think I might have to let you take the wheel on this one, though.
Hey, Halo 5, I'll also be honest with you, I haven't looked too much into the story. I've not that I've been avoiding spoilers, it's just that not many spoilers seem to be out there about this. I think if there was ever a time, this may be the one time in history where Halo, I think, is being underhyped. Like, if you've been following Halo, you can definitely find content out there. You can find, spoilers, leaks, and all that kind of thing. You can find that out there, but aside from a couple of well-placed commercials and a couple of well-made trailers, there's not a lot of buzz going on, for Halo 5. But we do know that Josh Boykin was really passionate about this. I believe the main character's name is Locke, where you won't be playing directly as Master Chief in this one, or at least I assume you won't be. You'll be playing as some ODSTs and as Spartan, like version 6 or something like that. Anyways, Super Soldier, yes, but you'll be trying to find out just what the heck happened to Master Chief. I mean, he's on the run. You have to hunt him down because he tends to be releasing these Guardian-esque kind of creatures from these planets, and sometimes these planets have human habitation on them. But Master Chief kind of going AWOL on everyone and going, well, I need to go release these things, and there's a lot of collateral damage, and sometimes human life is lost, but I really need to do this. So Master Chief going off on his own, and you play as, Locke and a couple other of these, Spartan ODST kind of characters, trying to either stop him, capture him, find out just what is actually happening with Master Chief, because as we all know, in Halo 4, he lost Cortana. I don't mind spoiling that one because if you haven't played it by now, you probably weren't going to. But Cortana's dead.
But Cortana is on every Windows 10 environment.
Yeah, she got transferred from Master Chief's head to my PC desktop. What a demotion!
All these spoilers. Snape kills Dumbledore.
Right, exactly. No, but so Halo 5 takes place. You are tracking down Master Chief. You're seeing what's going on, and now you have a kickback up program of Spartans. There's new generation Spartans, and the Covenant is out there. The Covenant, oddly enough, is also against Master Chief. Surprise, surprise, and him releasing all of these Guardian type characters. So you got this weird Covenants are trying to kill Master Chief, but Covenants are also trying to kill humans. So humans are trying to stop Master Chief, but humans are also trying to kill the Covenant. So it's, storyline is getting a little convoluted. It's really what is happening to Master Chief, as well as, the good old classic Forerunner, Covenant, human, all at odds with each other. So it's, looks like everything Halo should be. It's just at this point in time, I feel like it's underhyped.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that because, back when Halo 3 came out, I think pretty much everybody who was into gaming at the time remembers all the hype that got. You had your game fuel. I mean, that was the biggest thing. How could anybody forget about Mountain Dew and Doritos? That's kind of the symbol of gaming these days, as sad as that is. Then it switches hands to 343 Industries, and Halo 4, it's Halo 4, you're going to hear about it, but it's not saturating everything. And we're seeing the same thing here with Halo 5. We're aware that it's on the radar. We know it's going to come out, but it's not everywhere plastered over everything, And we could also see this again back last year when Destiny was first coming out. You couldn't get away from Destiny. You could watch television, and there'd be Destiny commercials. You could go and, you buy Red Bull now. It's got a Destiny mission code with it. So with Halo 5, that's not really happening. I think maybe as we near release date a little bit more, that's going to be something else. But for a game that's supposed to really shake up the landscape like you'd think Halo 5 would, it's just not at the moment. We're not seeing that kind of reception.
Although I do want to point out that if you're watching the video portion, of course, I think I had it up there playing. So if you're watching the video portion, that was the Halo 5 launch gameplay trailer I just threw up there. You can go find it for yourself. That was just released yesterday, so that was the first time we got to see a little bit of the gameplay. And as for the gameplay, I'll admit, they have borrowed some elements from Destiny. I played Destiny, and I played a lot of Destiny, and I was shocked. It's an MMORPG kind of open world kind of deal, but it's just Halo in that setting. It's almost a 1-to-1 comparison with Halo. But now you have Halo 5. And they've borrowed some of the abilities, they've borrowed some of the gameplay, they've borrowed some of the aspects of Destiny and put it towards Halo.
Right, and when you're playing Destiny, the gunplay just feels exactly the same. It's got that same kind of floaty physics to it.
Yeah.
The guns feel the same, maybe not quite as powerful as something like Call of Duty or Battlefield, but it's distinctive. And with Halo 4 and Halo 5, it's still Halo, of course, but it feels noticeably different, at least with Halo 4. Master Chief is a little bit heavier. The guns have a little bit more punch than they would in a game like Destiny. The melee has a little bit more snap to it. Again, it's like I'm talking about Battlefront. This is not something that you would really notice from a video. But when you're playing the game yourself, it's really obvious. And I think that kind of thing ended up reflecting on Halo fans who, I'm not sure how the reception of Halo 4 was to the general public, but I'm fairly certain that it didn't do too well with Halo fans.
Yeah, and I kind of knocked that, kind of chalked that up to the storyline, but the gameplay, it was their first attempt, and it was a very, you don't want to give them too little credit because they did a great job, but you don't want to give them, the benefit of the doubt because 343 Industries, they aren't novices to the Halo universe. They're, the people who used to work over at Microsoft and Bungie who wanted to continue to work on Halo. So, to kind of say, well, it was their first try, so we'll give them a pass. You can't really do that because they've, that's why they're at that company. They really, really enjoy Halo. But Halo 4, pretty good. It didn't have the lasting power that I wish it did. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that was, just the timing of it all, because it was a really big launch title for the Xbox One. So you kind of had a split fan base of, I'm still on the Xbox 360, I'm on the new Xbox One, and so you got people 50-50, and it really just didn't have the multiplayer longevity. I'm hoping Xbox One, been out for a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it is, 3 years maybe at this point, I don't know. But I'm hoping that it's been out long enough that the fan base for the Xbox One Halo 5 community is going to be big enough to make it last longer. Because I remember Halo 2 and Halo 3, they had a huge, and even Halo Reach, one of the one-offs, they had a huge online, long-lasting community, and we're just not seeing that anymore.
That's true. I mean, Halo itself is in a really interesting position right now, too, given what happened with the Master Chief Collection last year, where it was released in a state that just was not good. I mean, I don't want to use the word deplorable because that's got a whole lot of syllables rather. But it just, I don't know, like, everybody complained about the online not working as well as it should. I didn't experience much of this myself. I actually thought it was relatively fine. But, I mean, had a lot of complaints about it being buggy, about it crashing, about the online not working the way it should, about, it was disastrous, really. Like, people weren't happy with it. So this is Halo's chance to come back. And the fact that we're not seeing it being promoted as that kind of game, as the game of 2015, on some, to some point that kind of concerns me a little. Am I going to play it? Of course I'm going to play it. Do I think it's going to blow my mind and change the whole world for me? Maybe not.
Right. Yeah, that's about where I'm sitting now. I mean, I've been playing Halo since Halo 1, and I've played every single ODST. I even played Halo Wars, and it was okay. I'm not gonna say it was perfect, but it was okay. Like I enjoy the Halo IP, but is this shaping up to be the greatest in the whole Halo franchise? No, it's a filler. And
so it is interesting that you're playing as ODSTs in this game when a lot of fans will tell you that Halo ODST was the strongest game in the franchise.
Wait, Halo ODST was the strongest? I mean, it was good, don't get me wrong, but the strongest?
Absolutely, it was amazing.
It filled in a lot of the story. It had a lot of very, very great characters, better than just, hey, here's Faceless Master Chief and Cortana, deal with that. I mean, it had a lot of great characters, but the strongest? More partial to Halo 2 myself, but to each their own.
Right. And as far as games coming out in the 2015 holiday season go, we've already talked about Star Wars. So,
right.
I mean, there's also a whole bunch of smaller games too. We've seen a few big releases already. We've seen Super Mario Maker, for instance, was one of the heavy hitters for the Wii U rather. Mm-hmm. We are going to see a new Telltale series, I believe, released today. The Minecraft games.
Really?
Oh yeah. Wait, is that it's like an episodic RPG kind of game, right?
It is an episodic adventure game. I believe it's going to be along the same lines as Telltale's Walking Dead series, though I don't know if it's going to be quite the same theme as that. I mean, there's zombies in Minecraft, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be significant. It'll be interesting to see how that one goes, actually, because this is one of the first Minecraft games to come out after... I say Minecraft games, there's only one Minecraft game, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Once Mojang is no longer the property of Notch anymore, it's the property of Microsoft.
Yeah, Microsoft has been hard baking Minecraft into as many things as possible. Like, they've been showing Minecraft off in all their demos, they've been showing it on all of their hardware. I mean, Microsoft, like, I honestly thought that Microsoft kind of purchased the game after it sold all the copies it was going to sell, but it's still one of, if not the biggest seller every month, month after month. So I think they're doing a good thing with that. It's just with this Telltale game, they do a very good job of creating characters, creating episodes, and sucking you into a story. Now, the Walking Dead. I think the fan base with that, they were already fans of the TV series. It had a story. They go into it expecting, okay, here's another story. Do you think the fan base behind Minecraft, because it's kind of an open world, hey, do what you want. It's a giant sandbox game. Do you think that fan base is going to be like, okay, now we're going to have characters that we have to associate with. Now we're going to have, people we have to start caring about.
Right. I mean, more than just Minecraft, though, there's a couple other big games that are about to come out, and we've got Guitar Hero Live. We're starting to see the return of these of the plastic instrument concept. Having played Rock Band 4, I mean, it's not terrible. I could definitely see why they stopped making them every year. So we've got that, which is...
Well, real quick, I just want to say that, with the very extremely hot we just received for Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero is scheduled to be on next week, next Tuesday. So, gonna reserve a little bit there, but if you're interested, tune in next week, and we're gonna have the creators of Guitar Hero here on the show to talk about their new product. So,
what was it?
I am fairly certain it's going to be better than Rock Band 4. So.
What was it?
Good.
Was it the TV commercial where he's playing the guitar and a well-known actor, I'm blocking his name, and he takes it, he raises it and he smashes it on the table. He was in the Wizard of Oz. He was
Charlie Sheen.
No.
Johnny Depp. Brett Favre. I'll be honest with you. I watch only Netflix nowadays. I don't see many commercials.
Okay, well, he was in the commercial with it, and he takes the card and he smashes it on the table because he gets so caught up in the game. It was good I thought it was very funny. But anyhow, okay. They are doing TV ads for it.
Okay. So let's see other games, and these are, of course, games that are there any are any of these that we're talking about? Are they PC, Xbox, PS4?
You mean universal games on every platform?
Yeah. Are all these universal, or I mean,
some of them are, some of them aren't. Halo 5 is of course Xbox One exclusive. We're going to be seeing Black Ops 3 on pretty much everything. We're going to be seeing Battlefront on pretty much everything. Another big one that's coming out, it's going to be universal, is Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Now, again, we're in this situation where Assassin's Creed is in a weird place because the last mainstream release of that one, Assassin's Creed Unity, was a disaster.
It was amazing. It was perfect.
Yeah, sure. If you don't like your characters to have skin, yes, absolutely. If you are a skeleton, then Assassin's Creed was your game. But with Assassin's Creed Syndicate, I mean, Ubisoft has to say, hey, not only did we avoid making these mistakes again, we are so sorry. Please buy this new game for $60 with a season pass. So we're going to see if Ubisoft actually learned any lessons at all from what happened with Assassin's Creed Unity. I'm going to reserve judgment. No, probably not.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's continue on. We're at the bottom of the hour. You're listening to the Computer America Show. That's Cory Galliher as our guest on our Gamer Tuesday show. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll continue on. We've got another News Tisples review coming up as well. You're listening to the Computer America Show. It's our Gamer Tuesday program. We will be right back after these words. Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
No, I'm not running for president. Hi, it's Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, Withings Home. How could we not want to review Withings Home? It's a small cylinder shorter than a soup can, with a superb camera, mic, speaker, motion detector, air quality sensor, and more. It's for placing in a home area you want to monitor, letting it alert you to noise or motion, letting it open to a slightly delayed live feed with the ability to talk back, and capturing snippets of any trigger activities so you can review them. That's where we fell out of love with it. The video feeds to the handset were unreliable, dropping at random times. The catalog of snippets quickly grows too large to be useful. We wish they'd offered more configurability. Bottom line, for quiet and usually empty places like apartments, a Withings Home can be the watchdog that takes shots but never needs them. Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show, 33 minutes past the hour. Cory is going to finish out the show here with us as we, talk about games coming out. And right before the break, we kind of left off on Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and I did hear one kind of apologetic, but not really. But at least they know that people were mad, saying that the new Assassin's Creed game is going to be more like, I think they said, like more like Black Flag and not like like I said, it was going to be like one of the previous games and not like the most previous game. So I think they did learn their lesson, and the backlash did affect them. I'm glad to see that it didn't affect them, that they are never making another one again. So hey, it might be good.
Hey, it's quite possible. Trying to see anything else that's coming out for the holiday season. We've got Just Cause 3. That's not exactly a super high-end, well-known game, but I think anybody who's played a lot of video games is familiar with Just Cause 2. One of the most hilarious games you could get back in the day. Just Cause 3 looks to be just about as crazy. You've got a grappling hook. There's lots of explosions. You can stick people to walls with the grappling hook. You can stick people to planes with the grappling hook. Go flying everywhere, drag them along behind you. You can stick a jeep to your plane with the grappling hook. Go flying everywhere, drag that along behind you. Use it as a wrecking ball. Just Cause 3 looks like it's going to be pretty solid.
Okay.
Perfect. And I'm sure Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, have heard a lot about that. It's getting a lot of good press, and the gameplay looks very, very solid. I've seen a couple people play it, but but I fear that the whole Rainbow Six and Tom Clancy's like that, and that entire, like, really, it's almost a genre unto itself. Like, they have so many titles, but I feel like there's so many shooters, it might get lost, among all these different games.
Didn't Tom Clancy pass away as well? So he's not even alive anymore.
That's true.
Yeah.
Making games from beyond the grave.
Impressive.
Yep.
Maybe they should do that. The next one, was it From Beyond the Grave or something?
Tom Clancy's Beyond the Grave. I'd play it.
Yeah,
So,
have a zombie flair to it, When you
Speaking of zombies, actually,
yeah.
we have Halloween coming up. And
Uh-huh.
of course, if Halloween is coming up, you're going to want to be playing a bunch of scary games so that you poop yourself. It's great. Halloween's a season of pooping yourself.
Sorry.
Right.
There you go.
I want sound effects.
Only Craig gets them. It's an unjust, but it's what we have. So, what scary games would you recommend?
Well, a big one that released just recently is Until Dawn for the PlayStation 4. Now, this is basically a teen slasher flick / demon movie / ghost movie. It's all these different horror tropes combined into one, presented to you as kind of a choose-your-own-adventure sort of game, where the decisions that you make early in the game are reflected later on. It's not the most interactive game out there. Obviously, you do interact with it, you do things, but it's really more of an interactive movie kind of thing. Which, if you really just want a horror film, if you want a game that people who don't play a lot of games will enjoy, games like Until Dawn are really solid. And previous games from that developer, like Heavy Rain, are also pretty good. It's a game that you don't need a whole lot of coordination to play. It's a game that you can enjoy no matter if you're a hardcore gamer, 8 hours a day kind of thing, or if you just play a little bit of Candy Crush every now and then. So it's pretty solid. Also really gory and scary, which solid for a horror game.
Cory, what makes a game, like that category? It's for people who are, as you described it. It's if you're not really into playing it, but you play a few games. Is it because it's easy to play? Does it require hours of practice to?
No fast switch or yeah.
Okay.
Right, right. I mean, that's pretty much it, exactly as Craig said. It's easy to play. I mean, all of the interactions are fairly intuitive. Their previous game, Heavy Rain, for instance, was built around using the motion controls of the PlayStation 3 controller. So when you wanted to do something, it would like show you on screen, shake your controller, or twist your controller this way, or throw your controller at the television screen, or chew on it, or well, maybe not those last two. But and things like that, I think, are the reasons that games like that and systems like the Wii are very popular with people who don't play a lot of games. It's intuitive. It's easy to play. Until Dawn does much the same thing. You know, the most complex thing it asks you to do is aim a cursor on the screen and push a button. So even though you can be in these really tense situations, if you fail, it's not a matter of, oh, I didn't know where that button was, so I died. It's a matter of, oh, I actually failed the challenge, so I died, which I think feels better to people who don't play a lot of games.
Okay. Makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
Because it can't all be fast twitch, you know. People,
Right, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, people are, you know, or you're an older generation, and you might not be quite as light on your button pushing.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Oh, well, that's good. All right. And so this is also coming out for Halloween?
This is actually already out. You could go out and buy it right now if you'd like to.
Okay. So you don't have to...
Oh, I'm sorry. I was about to suggest that as far as scary games go, this one isn't readily available anymore, but one of the scariest games I've played is also for the PlayStation 4. It's called PT. It stands for Playable Teaser. It's actually a little demo that was originally made for the canceled game Silent Hills. Unfortunately, if you haven't played PT yet, you're probably not going to anytime soon because there was a giant debacle earlier this year. The game is not available in the PlayStation Store anymore. If you delete it from your console, it's gone forever. If you have to, I don't know, murder somebody with a chainsaw to play this game, which would be appropriate for Halloween, you probably should. It's terrifying.
This is Silent Hill, you said?
The game is called PT. It's the trailer for a game called Silent Hills, plural.
Silent Hill,
which,
okay.
Fortunately, it's not going to be created, apparently. There's a whole bunch of ridiculous stuff involving Konami. But the actual gameplay of it is very simple. You walk down a hallway, you go through a door, you're back at the beginning of the hallway again. You walk down the hallway, you open a door, you're back at the beginning again. And every time you loop through this hallway, things will change in more and more sinister ways till you're basically in this nightmare scape where you're walking down the hallway where there's blood dripping down the walls and a ghost is following you and there's gore everywhere. Again, the kind of games you really need to see for yourself. This is also one of those games I would suggest go on YouTube, find other people playing it. Ideally, they've got a face cam going on. One of the very few games where a face cam is very, very effective because it scares the crap out of people.
Right. Yeah. PT. I do remember that being awesome. And you know, before we get into some of the other games, I do want to get your feeling on scary games and the future scary games. In that, I really, really do feel like it's going to be the one genre that is going to make virtual reality really, really pop. Like it's virtual reality. It doesn't have a lot of other kinds of applications. Action, role playing, that kind of thing. Maybe first person shooter, definitely not. But horror and that whole genre, I think virtual reality is and seeing the gameplay of PT, virtual reality can make the horror genre really something else.
Absolutely, I'm right there with you. It was interesting, actually, when I went to E3 this year over in LA, one of the things they were showing off was a virtual reality system from Sony called Project Morpheus.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get a chance to try this myself. I was otherwise occupied in the interviews and such and talking to people and meeting developers. But one of the games they showed off for the Morpheus, apparently, was a game called Kitchen, which is exactly what you described. It's a horror game for VR. I don't think you can actually see the game like from the perspective of somebody playing it on YouTube, but you can definitely see other people playing it from the outside, and it scares the living crap out of them. They are flailing about, trying to get out of their chair, diving all over the place. It's beautiful. And if VR can make things like that happen, it's definitely the wave of the future for scary games.
In other words, they were really scared, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they were physically afraid. Like, it's interesting, too, because this game involved... again, the motion aspects of the PlayStation controller. So one of the first things you do is push over an object in front of you, which you do by pushing your controller in front of you.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Very intuitive.
Very
Yeah,
interesting.
absolutely. Getting yourself into the action, which is the entire point of VR.
Right. And you think that VR is going to be the gaming of the future? It's all going to be VR?
Um, I mean, so interesting point about me is that I have strabismus. I actually only see out of one eye for the most part, and I had no idea I could actually use VR until I saw it at E3 and tried it for myself. But when I did, I mean, it's an amazing experience. For me, I think anybody who sees death is going to get way more out of it than I did, and I thought it was amazing. So assuming it doesn't just peter out like the whole 3D thing did, I think it's gonna go really well.
Well, we hear that all the time. But the 3D it petered out, and because you had to wear special glasses, and but I don't think this is really the same thing. I mean, because you're not watching passive television, and I mean, you're interacting, and it's a more immersive experience than 3D TV ever was, or probably will ever will be, at least at this point. So, and because you're interacting with everything going on, you're participating. I think it's going to be a more successful project.
Yeah, and you can definitely see. I know we've gotten off topic of the Halloween games, but you can definitely see where the developers of all these different, virtual reality consoles, they're really pushing the social aspects of this. They really that is the main criticism of these things is you put on a helmet, you sit down, and you say to yourself, okay, I'm in my own little world right now. One second, I'm sorry. I have the trailer for playable trailer. I have a demo running in the background, and I just scared myself. No, but some lady just jumped out, and whatever. That was scary. But they're saying it's a very isolating experience where you put on the headsets, you put on the eyewear, and you close yourself off. But all these different developers are saying, hey, this is very, very social. You have a friends list. You get to see their avatars. It's it's not just you. You actually feel like there are other people in the room with you, even if you are perhaps the only one in the room.
Right, right. And as far as this whole ecosystem goes, one thing that interests me about VR right now is the fact that you have so many different companies trying to make one at this point. Which I don't really know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, the fact that it's gotten so much interest is fantastic. But my worry right now is about fragmentation. You've got
Right.
the HTC Vive, you've got the Oculus Rift, you've got the Project Morpheus, you've got the HoloLens, you've got on and on and on and on and on. What I think will eventually have to happen is that these have to die out. I mean, some of them are going to have to go the way of the dinosaur, so to speak, so that the mammals can rise up. Um, so, I mean, what it's going to come down to is which of these headsets is going to be the winner? Which is going to be the one that you have to have? Which is going to be the one that has all the games that you want? And once that's decided, I think then if VR is still going strong and doesn't go the way of the Virtual Boy, then maybe we've got something on our hands.
Do you think that's going to be the case? Must there be one supreme winner, or can it be like we have the Xbox One, we have PlayStation 4? You know what I mean?
Does it have to be one supreme winner, or can there be two supreme winners?
Yeah. For healthy comment. What's your thoughts on that, Cory?
I mean, right now, sure, I could maybe see one or two, but I can't see four. Like,
Okay. I mean,
maybe they'll end up all being compatible. I mean, what we see now is we've got your Xbox One, we've got your PlayStation 4, we've got your PC, and they all tend to play the same games. The vast majority of games are released for those three platforms. Then we've got the Wii U, which tends to get its own set of games.
Mhm.
And I mean, this situation as it stands works relatively well, and that's fine. What we're going to have to see is, I mean, first off, how are the games going to work for these headsets? Are you going to get them mostly on PC? Are you going to get them mostly on consoles? And if you get them mostly on consoles, which console? And if you get them mostly on PC, what kind of hardware do you need to run them? There's a lot of questions right now, and what we have at the moment are, hey, I tried out this demo, it was a lot of fun, what an experience. But we don't really have quite so much of what's the consumer experience going to be like for these things.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that, but I feel like in the very beginning of this whole revolution, if you want to call it that, at the very beginning, everyone is making one and hoping that theirs is going to be the breakout product. Because if theirs is the breakout product, then people are going to develop games, they're going to develop interactive movies, they're going to develop content for their platform. So of course they're going to have to license from them. And then if they get all the content, then all the people are going to want their products. So then people are going to have to buy whatever platform that they developed. The 4 or 5 different options that we have right now, I see that as I don't want to say a money grab, but there's the whatever company becomes the big one stands to make a lot of money. So I think that's why we see 4 or 5 different ones. Yes, definitely. Most of them are probably going to fall off into oblivion, but whichever one does make it stands to make again a lot of money.
I would agree.
That's just the way that I see the whole virtual reality and augmented reality thing being. Now, you could be right. They could all be very, very compatible. Maybe every single source file is going to work with every other console, so that's going to be awesome. But even if it doesn't, there should hopefully be 1 or 2 winners that will stick around. That's going to be my biggest thing. It's not which one is going to win. I just hope something comes out of this.
Right, right. And to avoid playing devil's advocate, I mentioned 3D TV earlier and how maybe that hasn't really taken off. But I mean, the experience you get with a virtual reality headset is it's something you can't really get anywhere else if it's done correctly. And I think that's what's going to be the deciding factor here is the fact that this is something that you cannot get otherwise. You can't play a VR game in a non-VR setting and feel the same way. And this is something that you can't really understand unless you have a headset on and you're trying a game out yourself. Even simple things. The first VR game I ever played was actually a little real-time strategy title, which it's something else entirely to have a headset on and look around the map and see your units and feel like you can just reach out and touch them. That's just mind-blowing. Or if you try it with like a first-person shooter, an exploration type game. Another one that I tried at the same event was kind of an underwater exploration sort of game where you're wearing a helmet. And maybe if you're playing this on the PS4, the Xbox One, that's kind of whatever. But when you're actually inside the game, it's something else entirely. And I think that if this kind of experience becomes the norm, then yeah, maybe we've got something big.
Perfect. Yeah, I really hope that it does take off because it does seem to be a whole different kind of experience, and that's something more than 3D TV ever promises. I know so many people like to draw that conclusion, but 3D TV promised just to give us, 3D and just better TV. This is something completely different. This is not TV. This is not radio. This is, a whole different experience. Can't wait.
Yeah, exactly. So where does that leave us at this point? Or we finished?
Any other horror games?
And Halloween games, yeah, exactly.
Halloween games. Let me see if I can think of any classics. If you have a PlayStation, obviously.
Fear.
Fear,
of
course, is effective. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have a PlayStation, try Clock Tower, of course. You're on the run from a serial killer. You have to hide behind things. Can't really fight back. That's exciting. Other scary games. Resident Evil 6 is scary because it's pretty bad. It's so bad it's terrifying. Yeah, don't play it. What else leaps to mind?
Would you count Alan Wake as kind of the right mood, or is that not?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Especially like Stephen King or Dean Koontz fans are gonna love Alan Wake. It's basically Stephen King the game. Little bit older, still looks really good. I mean, a game that with looks that really have kind of stood the test of time. So that's done really well. It has a sequel too called American Nightmare, kind of a more combat-focused title. Let's see. Trying to think of anything else that's especially terrifying that I would suggest people play. Amnesia: The Dark Descent is pretty good. Again, follows the whole run away from a monster and you can't fight back aspect of things.
Well, why is that scary? Because something bad's happening and you can't fight back. That makes it more terrifying.
Oh yeah, I mean if you're defenseless, of course something is scarier. That's actually, Ben mentioned Fear. I didn't find Fear that scary because you're a giant soldier with a huge gun. If a ghost tries to kill you, you'll just shoot him in the face. Somebody mentioned Outlast as well. Somebody mentioned to me earlier Outlast, which is again kind of similar to Amnesia. You're running away from enemies. You have to hide a lot. It's a very visceral experience. And again, the same. We go back to VR. That kind of game in a VR setting would just maybe be too much.
Well, I mean, for that matter, you could say Tomb Raider, the newer version. She's Lara Croft. She's defenseless. She can't really do anything. She's not the pistol.
She's defenseless in the very beginning, but she of course finds herself by the end. That's
she rapidly becomes much less defenseless.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Well, hey, there's some. Play the intro to Tomb Raider and nothing more, and
there you go. I guess that's relatively terrifying. Sure.
Yeah.
Why are all these videos terrifying?
Destiny before the expansion came out.
Aw.
It was pretty scary how, you just spent all this money on the game and it wasn't very good and you can't get a refund. Ugh.
See, was it Destiny? Since we're on the topic, I think just released a big content patch today or yesterday. Destiny 2.0 just launched this week. So if you haven't picked it up, I haven't played it in a couple weeks, so I'm definitely gonna pick that up. But if you haven't played it in a little bit, definitely go check it out because they did add a lot of balancing, a lot of weapons, and a couple more pieces of content. So Destiny is getting better. I admit I don't like when games release and they aren't all good and done. But a year and a half down the road and it's still getting better, that's still something to be happy about.
Right. Oh, one last horror game that just sprang to mind. Five Nights at Freddy's. If you haven't played it, it's absolutely worth a look. Play it with other people, especially. Once again, I have to hit. I think the horror games are most effective when you play with people who don't play a lot of video games and don't know what's coming or don't know what to expect. Five Nights at Freddy's, for instance, very, very, very easy game to get a handle on. But if you get somebody who doesn't play games in front of it, you're gonna have a great time. Just stand back so they don't kick you in the face accidentally when they flip out.
No, this is not Freddy Krueger now. This is just Freddy.
No. Five Nights at Freddy's is you're a security guard in what amounts to Chuck E. Cheese's, and the idea is that you're the night watchman, and at night the animatronics will come to life and wander around Chuck E. Cheese's, so the faux Chuck E. Cheese's, so to speak, and if they manage to get back to your office, bad things happen to you, graphic things happen. So your job is to keep an eye on them through a security camera system and close the doors when they get too close so they forget about you and walk away. You can't move. So you're basically stuck in place while these horrible things are wandering around the pizza place trying to hunt you down. It's extremely tense. It's got a few sequels, all of which have shaken up the gameplay in certain ways. In one of them, there's no doors. In one of them, you have to hide behind a mask to frighten off the animatronics, for instance. And these are really small micro games, essentially. I don't think they're made in a very big budget, but they're highly effective. Like the kind of thing that that we really wanted to see out of the indie scene, with this laser focus on quality. That's Five Nights at Freddy's right there.
It sort of like a typical evening at Pizza Hut or something.
Yeah, pretty much. Sometimes the pizza at Pizza Hut is also horrible. So.
Oh my gosh. So we got about 4 minutes left, Cory. So we want to kind of summarize everything up again here.
Or any games that you're working on that maybe you want to tell people about to keep an eye out for.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a couple that I've been working on reviewing recently. Let's see. If you are a big fan of adventure games, you've got the Nathan Drake collection, which is a collection of all the Uncharted games on the PlayStation 4. Those are really high-quality games, made with a whole lot of financial backing behind them. They were meant to be like a AAA franchise for the PlayStation. That really shows. So check that out.
I saw a commercial for that last night. The Nathan Drake.
Oh yeah, no, it's really good. It's essentially modern Indiana Jones, and you're playing it. It's really well made. We've got Dragon Quest Heroes, which is a new Square Enix title. It's kind of like the Dynasty Warriors games. You fight hundreds of monsters at once. It's a great time. RPG fans might want to check out The Legend of Legacy on the 3DS, which is a very difficult RPG in the same style of the old Saga games. And finally, in one last horror game for the PlayStation Vita, we've got Corpse Party Blood Drive, which is kind of Japanese horror.
It sounds like it sounds like it showed all of its cards in the title. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, no, you pretty much get the idea.
Yeah, sometimes some game just has its own title and then it's all down here. I think, what was it? One, Exploding Kittens. That was a great title.
There was a game back in the day called Bulletstorm. You can kind of guess what that one's about.
Okay. Well, I got to tell you. So again, now, are you writing articles doing some articles for Pop Zara, Cory? What can we expect to see from you next?
Every game I just mentioned is going to be reviewed by me pretty soon. Okay. So just keep an eye on popzara.com, and we'll have reviews coming out. I believe the next one we've got is, as I mentioned, The Legend of Legacy, which is a big RPG just came out today.
Are there enough hours in the day for you to do what it is that you do, Cory?
I can actually control time.
Oh.
That has to be a handy thing,
It is, and I use it to write game reviews, so it's a giant waste.
World hunger, world violence. Nah, we're good.
Could have just gone back in time and killed Hitler, but nah, game reviews.
No,
Game reviews.
yeah, exactly.
A service.
Well, again, I want to thank you for being with us here, Cory. This was a lot of fun on our Gamer Tuesday. Stay with us to the end, too, because we do a little after show with our video, okay? So stay with us to the end. Again, Cory Galliher, again, Associate Editor, Popzara Press, with us, doing his first Gamer Tuesday with us, and hopefully we'll have him back doing a lot more as the holidays approach. I mean, because a lot of things are going to be happening in the gaming world, and we're going to be covering them here at Computer America. As Ben mentioned, we're going to have, was it the
Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero? Yeah, that's going to be on the 20th in the first hour of the show. That's coming up. Coming up tomorrow, we're going to have our good friend Mike Cermak from TechGuy.org is back. Normally he was going to be here last Wednesday, but he had to be out of town, and so Sandy Berger, we kind of flipped it. So she did it last Wednesday, and Mike is, because he's only here on the first Wednesday of every month, so he's going to be here the second Wednesday of the month, which is tomorrow. Mike's going to be joining us. Always a lot of fun. He does that trivia game with us, and he's here with the first hour. So Mike Cermak going to be joining us again, the owner-operator of
90 seconds.
TechGuy.org. And then the second hour, we're going to be doing computer and technology news. And that's brought to you by Slimware Utilities. They are the official optimization software of Computer America. So that about wraps it up. Again, thanks, Cory, for being here. So you're going to go back to Popzara and write those gaming reviews?
I absolutely am. And hey, if you guys want to see some wonderful reviews written by yours truly, just check it out, popzara.com.
Yeah, and look for him, because if you look for Cory's name, you can find all the articles that he's written. That's how I found. Yeah, exactly. Okay, again, thank you all so much for being here with us on today's Gamer Tuesday show. Have a great rest of the day. And Ben and I, we'll see you tomorrow night.
Play some video games.
Yeah, or play some video games. Right, just, have a good time. And we'll see you here tomorrow afternoon. Don't forget to enter our contests, our social media contests. Again, it's right there at our homepage at computeramerica.com. Get your entry in so you have a chance to win, and it rhymes. So until tomorrow afternoon, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. See you tomorrow afternoon.
Have a good one, everyone.
Bye-bye.
10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, and we're back for our after show. Again, Cory, thanks for being here with us. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully you had a good time.
Yeah, I had a great time. You guys can have me back on soon.
Yeah, we will have you back. Exactly. All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.